Since the dawn of games being played, they all try to capture two core aspects of human nature. That is, to have fun and also to kill time. Once we got Dungeons and Dragons, it took gaming to a completely different place, where people can be heroic, embodying different people and taking the core aspects of having fun and killing time. It wasn't until a little game in 1981 came around where things took a turn. Call of Cthulhu is a game where instead of playing as heroes or swinging swords, you play as real people in the 1920s living in the world of H.P. Lovecraft. Strange and bizarre mythos of ancient gods, terrible secrets of the universe, insanity of the average person being held together with tape and some bathtub gin. I love Call of Cthulhu. It is a system I honestly think has changed my life. The first time I really got exposed to Call of Cthulhu was in 2014 with its release of 7th edition. Prior to this, I had played some 3.5 and 4th edition, and this was the very beginning of 5th edition. But for me, and I feel like a lot of other people, when it comes to tabletop RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons is kind of the cornerstone of what the genre is, mostly just fantasy and a lot of these aspects of swinging swords and being cool. And I've had many a conversation with people where I'm like, "Hey, I'm about to play a tabletop RPG. What are you playing?" "I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons." And like, "Oh, okay, have fun." Instead of just saying the game that I've played, because I've said that before. Where I've been like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be playing Call of Cthulhu," and they're gonna be like, "Is that some weird, creepy sex thing?" And I'm like, "Oh no, 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 no." I was invited to play Call of Cthulhu at my buddy's house, and I want to say it was a life changing experience. We played a modern day scenario based off a short story of my friend, who is an author. I remember playing a Canadian Mountie who was visiting the United States on a small vacation. I can't remember what we were doing, but I remember my character pulling out a gun and blasting a witch back to the Stone Age, only for me to roll a critical failure and having a tree follow me and crush my legs. After that experience, I went to my local game store and bought myself a copy of both the Investigator's Handbook and the Keeper's Guide and instantly wrote a scenario. I vividly remember this, where my friends were on a train being attacked by a mummy that no one could see but the person being attacked. Shit, I think I wrote Mummy on the Orient Express a few years before the Doctor Who episode came out. And in this video, I kind of definitely want to talk about why I love Call of Cthulhu. And if you're interested in playing Call of Cthulhu, here are the reasons why I really enjoy it. I'm going to kind of do it in a top 5 list. Number 1. This is a very versatile system. My gosh, is it versatile. You can do different time periods, you can set it modern day, you can set it in the 1920s, and you can pop in different elements. It doesn't necessarily need to be, the Cthulhu mythos. You can do different entities. You can do ghosts, goblins, wizards, you can do vampires, you can do mummies. You can do a lot of things that aren't just like a Hound of Tindalos, Amigo, the Elder Things, a Shoggoth. Like many of these things, you don't necessarily need to add into the game. It's called Call of Cthulhu, but you can slot in so many different elements. And even within the line of games that you can play within Call of Cthulhu, because, there's Cthulhu by Gaslight, there's the Dark Ages, there's Regency, there's different flavors of things you want to play. If you want to play Cowboys of Cthulhu, there's Down Darker Trails. It's definitely one of those systems where if you are a history person and a big nerd, you'll definitely find different aspects of Call of Cthulhu like within the system. And for me, I think a system really lends itself to be this versatile because you can play it in the 1920s, you can play it in so many weird and wacky ways. There's a pulp version if you want to play Brendan Fraser's The Mummy. You can do that as well. Number 2. This is a very easy game to understand. If you look at the rules, it looks like a giant block of text, but a lot of the stuff is just kind of getting a feel of the world and kind of making characters. But in the end of the day, you're rolling numbers below your current score. And I think Call of Cthulhu does a really good job of being an investigative horror game because people forget it is investigative when people also think it's horror, but it's both of them together because if you read the works of H.P. Lovecraft, you can see that a lot of the people in his stories are kind of putting the pieces together. They're either academics, they're big nerds, their own investigation causes their doom. And for me, these rules are so easy to understand. I mean, as a keeper, my job is to make sure that, if there's like weird referee rules, yes, but like for the core player, you're really just going to be rolling a D100 and going from there. And kind of your own creativity is one of those things that's endless bounds compared to like a fantasy role play game. You're a person. How you think of things is going to be how a regular person would think of things compared to how a wizard would think of things, how a barbarian would think of things, how a thief would think of things. You might just be Chuck that works at the local grocery store, and now you're kind of in a deep conspiracy trying to figure out why these monsters are attacking you. It's much easier to role play kind of those scenarios than it is to role play Gragnar, the invincible, a barbarian that's also a wizard that shoots laser beams. Like it can't be silly. We can get into Pope Cthulhu, but at the end of the day, it is easy enough where you can go an entire game up until the end where you don't really roll dice. I've had games where you just talk the entire time. I have played games where I've never rolled a single dice, where it's just role play focused. It's heavy, and that's some of my favorite aspects of the game is when you're just talking, and it's the most interesting conversation where you're just people in a room talking about something that is completely unrelated to the giant core question of should we go through that door? Let's keep looking to the library. Number 3. This system is very roleplay heavy, and if you like role playing, I think this is one of the best role playing games you can play. Yes, there's games like Delta Green, which again is still Call of Cthulhu in many ways. It's, X Files, Call of Cthulhu, it's still an offshoot. But when it comes to Call of Cthulhu itself, this is a game where I really enjoy being in a role play environment. I used to not be like this. I used to be super afraid to role play. I used to be afraid of being silly and goofy and weird. I have played some of the most over the top, obnoxious, rambunctious characters. I once played a stage magician that was horribly doped up on painkillers the entire time and was spewing the most outrageous things possible while looking for Harry Houdini. The sheer joy of the people at that table laughing is some of my favorite memories. I find that in the core of Call of Cthulhu, if you like to role play and you like to be goofy or silly or be serious or have some of the most dramatic scenes possible, Call of Cthulhu caters to that system compared to how a lot of RPGs kind of have the social pillars of, you have your exploration, your social encounters, and your combat. I find that Call of Cthulhu kind of takes the social aspects and the clue solving at the top and kind of combats at the bottom and kind of the explorations in the middle of the sandwich. And it really caters to that. You can talk your way out of a lot of situations, but when the bullets go flying, that's where things get interesting because combat in this game is very fast and loose. And there have been times where I have done combats that lasted 30 seconds because they've either killed the thing or people have been killed. But my favorite aspects of this game are talking. There are some of my favorite scenarios, like Uncle Timothy's Will, where everyone plays as a bunch of jerk relatives. And for me, it's one of my favorite aspects is that everyone is laughing, everyone's having a great time, and you're forgetting that you're playing a game. I can't say more enough that if you want to have people having a good time just talking and role playing, Call of Cthulhu is that game for you. Number 4, I find the sanity system to be one of the most unique aspects of this game. I mean, it's one of the core aspects of H.P. Lovecraft is the fraying of sanity as you go to your wit's end. And it is such a unique system compared to other games where you have different resources, where when you're playing Call of Cthulhu and you see something horrific, there's always going to be consequences compared to playing a game where you see a ghost and nothing really happens because you're unfazed. Whereas if you were a person in the real world and you saw a ghost and you weren't Zack Baggins, oh, buddy, you'd be kind of afraid and kind of scared. You'll fail in exponentially funny ways where there's times where my character thinks one time thought he was George R. R. Martin because they rolled on the table and had to come up with I think I'm someone else, and I had to keep role playing that, and that was really really funny. And it's one of those core aspects where failing is so much fun sometimes because you never know what's going to happen, and a good keeper in a good game, you will start laughing or crying or get really scared because sometimes your character will do things like trying to fight an elder god with their bare hands or getting in a car and just driving, leaving everyone into the dust, and they have to figure out a new situation. Those elements make the game so much more enjoyable. And number 5, I think that the Call of Cthulhu community is the best gaming community, period, in the TTRPG space. I have met so many wonderful people, so many creative people. And if you're like looking for an adventure, the Miskatonic Repository has thousands of years worth of games. Like, there's so many of them that I buy that I know that I'll never even get to play to, but I'll read them and be like, "Ah, I really want to play this." And like I said, there are so many people that always want to play. I've been on many a Discord server where I'll just post a game, and within 10 minutes, everyone's rolling dice. It's one of those things where I've never had a bad experience playing Call of Cthulhu. Everyone kind of knows what they're getting into, and it's either a lot of laughs, a lot of cries, a lot of screams and shouts. And for me, it's one of my favorite things. I've been in many different spheres of tabletop communities, and I'm not going to name which ones I've been into. I've had some great experiences and I've had some bad experiences. But when it comes to Call of Cthulhu, I've had only excellent experiences. And there's so much resources out there. If you're looking for something for a game, you type it in, and chances are people have given detailed war stories of what they've done. There's other YouTubers out here that have given detailed reviews, and there's even people that have made some amazing assets just for your games. If you have like a core scenario, chances are you're going to see some amazing handouts. And even let's just talk about like the handouts and the props. Call of Cthulhu, bare none, best props, best letters, best anything when it comes to player aids. It is so much fun to see how detailed these get. The HP Lovecraft Historical Society makes some of the best props I've ever seen for not even games, just in general. I've played games where they've dropped a live book that's 200 pages in front of us and just said, "Have fun," and we're like, "What do we do with this? Oh my god, what do we do with this?" And we're leafing through it, and every page is detailed oriented, and it's fun because the community comes together and wants to create something really fun and have a universal player experience. And if you're looking for a game that you can have a lot of fun with just complete strangers, because usually when it comes to Call of Cthulhu adventures or when it comes to HP Lovecraft stories, a lot of the time people are coming together that have never met before. Can they trust each other? Can they not? And it kind of filters into this world, and kind of how you do investigative horror games is that you're all coming together as self-made investigators. And in the end of the day, are you going to live or are you going to die? But at the end of the day, like I said, the two core aspects of gaming is you're here to have fun and you're here to kill time, and Call of Cthulhu does both of those very, very well. If you like this video, please consider subscribing down below. Give me a like, comment down below. I'd really appreciate it. I would love to hear from you also. What do you think about Call of Cthulhu? What is your favorite aspect? What is your favorite thing that you love about it? Is it the community? Is it the rules? Like, I would love to hear you all kind of comment down below. I'd love to open up a conversation because, again, I'm a big community person, and Call of Cthulhu is the game that I'll keep coming back to and coming back to and coming back to, because it has opened my world to so many different places, both hither, thither, and beyond the ether. Well, I'm Zack, and I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye.